Okay, now welcome to this video. This is a bit different to other things I've had on the channel in the past, but I figured I'd go with it. This is my next little project that I'm doing, that I've decided to make a few videos on. And this is a brick outbuilding, shed, workshop, whatever you want to call it. Dry store basically, and we're going to hook up power. So here we've got a steel wire armoured cable coming in. This is coming in from the main board in the house. That's a 3-core 10mm, because the supply is TNS, so we're bringing the earth into here. We've got a little 8-way Wylex L series consumer unit, NM-L version, all RCBOs, main switch there. There's a few RCBOs and a MCB, so these are going into here. We're going to be having 32 amp and 16 amp C-form outlets for testing PA gear, whatever else I may need them for. Outside sockets going on here at some point, so that's why we got that there. Lights, a few 13 amp sockets in metal clad probably. So yeah, this is just a selection of odds and ends here ready to go. The lights are these Thorn ones, I believe. Yep, Thorn. And there's the model and relevant information. They are fluorescent, 2x70 watts, so they should be fairly bright. And I've got a few of these just sitting around, brand new, still sealed in packaging, as you can see here. So that's why I'm going to be using them. Probably going to use 3 of them in here. It's a reasonably sized space, as you can tell maybe on camera. I don't know how well that's going to come across. It's about 5.5 meters by about 4.5 meters, I think, or something like that. It's a reasonably big space, as you can see. The main thing today is just terminating the steel wire armoured cable here, which is this, so we can power up some power to this building on that board, and getting the lights up. That is all I'm primarily concerned about. The board is going to be mounted on a piece of wood stood away from the wall. I'm going to stand it from the wall from this little using these galv couplers, which are right here, but I've also put brass bushes in them on one end, and then I've used the plastic nuts off the compression glands, and that allows you to lock a fixed height, so you can actually use these to level something off if you've got a wall that's slightly out. So say if one of the bricks are back further than the others, you can adjust this relevant and stand it off quite nicely. Plus it gives you a bit of extra length. I've only got short bushes though, unfortunately, so I can only stand off about that much with these, which should be enough to get any cables in. I'm going to try and bring them all in the rear where possible, because it's a lot cleaner. The SWA supply is going to come in directly to the chassis, probably from maybe from the top. I think I've not decided yet, but we'll see. I'm going to see roughly where I'm going to fit these things on the wall and work that out now. Okay, so a little bit of a progress update. The board is on the wall now, as you can see, including the consumer unit mounted to it. It's stood off using those little adjustable couple of things that I made that I showed you earlier. And the grommet strip is in, the wood is cut out, and we're ready to bring the supply cable in now, I think. So I'm going to work out how I'm going to bring this up and into the board. Okay, so I've sort of settled on the armoured coming up this mortar line here, and then looping over. I'm going to spin this around, it's a bit twisted at the moment, and into this end knockout here, so it's in line with the main switch. I'm going to need enough length to take it down, loop it up and bring it in, so I'm going to cut the armoured off completely, around about here, should probably give me enough, but I'm going to go a little bit extra for good measure, so something like that, about the length of the enclosure and another half. So I'm going to hacksaw through this here now. I've also tape marked where I'm going to be attaching it into the gland there. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just make life easier by cutting this excess off with the hacksaw. Excess offcut, a few meters there. So I'm using the Tower 20 size glands. You can't really see there because of the light, but it's a Tower external gland kit 20 IP66, and this is a 3/4 10mm from Superlek, and these are appropriate for this cable. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the boot over, just pull it down so it marks it. I'll get some cutters and just snip that. To what should be about appropriate size. Might have gone a little small there actually. So I've cut that a bit bigger. I'm just going to offer this up over now, the end of the cable. Spin that a little bit to persuade it up. There we go. And then I just push this right out of the way, so you don't forget about it later. The other thing I do is I separate the glands. This is an outdoor IP rated gland, so you've got this rubber seal here. Then you've also got the actual piece of gland that connects the steel wire with the olive in it. And I very often separate this now. What I sometimes do now is put this section on here with the olive in over the cable, but with 3/4 10mm. That can be quite difficult because of the actual diameter is just about able to fit in a 20 gland. So I'm going to put this on later on in this case, but if you've got a slightly smaller cable, that may be a good thing to put on and push out the way now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go down with the hacksaw here and just cut slightly into all the steel wire that is within it. And then I'm going to strip this sheathing off and strip the steel wires off. So now I'm just going to check the steels have all been caught, which it looks good like they have. I'm going to get a Stanley knife now and strip this. Just like so. Now I'm going to pull the steels off a few at a time. Just unwind them. Okay, so now I've got the inner cable there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this tape, because the size of the gland that I'm using, in order for the outer insulation that covers the steel wires to go into the gland, it wants to be about half the size of this electrical tape. So I'm going to use that as my marker. I'm going to move it down. But what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to take the tape off. So I'm just going to put the sealing part of the gland on now, minus the olive. Let me take that back off. Making sure that's the right way round. Obviously the fat edge goes at the bottom, the fine edge goes at the top. I'm going to retape this up. About sort of 2/3 to a half of the tape is right for this case. And now we can either use the hacksaw or the knife. I'm going to use the Stanley knife to do this and just cut around the outer sheath. Okay, so I've now scored all the way around and cut that. I'm just going to cut this off like so. There we go. Now I'm going to put the olive over the steels. And I'm going to wind these out to get the gland on. So now that those are all separated, I'm going to slide this down, making sure all the steels are outside of it, not going on the inside where they could damage the cable. Now I'm just going to do this by hand until it bites on, which it has done. I'm going to push that down to make sure that all the steels are in at the top. Have a quick check down the cable that there's no stray steel wires. And then I'm going to hand tighten this up. And then grab a pair of spanners to finish off. With my pair of spanners, I'm going to get the nut on the gland. And the nut for the steel wires. I'm going to hold this one and turn this one. It's kind of hard to show this whilst doing it. Now that's nice and tight, but I'm leaving it lined up. And now I'm going to do up the compression piece. Okay, so those are now both done up nice and tightly. The gland will not come off there now, which is what we want. There's no steels down there, which I can't really show you because I haven't got the light at the moment. I'm just going to pull this up a touch to here. I'm not pushing it all the way because we need to tighten this into the board jam. So the SWA is now terminated. I've not cleated it yet. It's connected into the main switch down there. And the earthing is running across the top. The banjo is on. And that is also earthed with the 10mm earth under there. I've just put a 6 amp RCBO in for the lighting up to now. Dressed the neutrals up out of the way. And that's where we're up to. So I'm going to fit a light switch somewhere. I've got to work that out now. And I'm going to take the supply straight to the switch. And then take a supply from the switch to each light. Okay, so the switch is mounted, linked out. The board's done up to that point. I'm going to throw some lights up now real quick. So I just thought as well, I could have been doing this on time-lapse. So I'm probably going to time-lapse the putting the lights up. So let's throw some lights up. Okay, so here's where we're up to. I've got the light switch on and terminated. I've changed this out for a 3-way one instead of the 2, because that way I can have every light individually switched. Whereas before I was just going to wire one on its own and then 2 together, but I've just done them all in a single run, straight round and back down here. The supply comes into the switch from the board up here, which you can see there. At the moment I'm temporarily using these Wagos in the back. There's actually 4 cables in them, but because they're only 1.5mm, it does actually fasten and they won't come out. I have tried pulling them out, but these will be being replaced for 4-way ones. You can see the cables running along here for the lights, coming down here into the fittings and then terminated off there. I'm not sure how I'm going to position these actual tubes on these, because you've got 2 positions. They can come down like that tight, or you can put them up and out wide like that. I'm thinking they may be better in the middle, just to light more of the room as opposed to in the roof. So I'm going to finish putting this fitting back together, and then I'm going to check out the supply. I'm also going to cleat this SWA, so I'm going to do that in a moment now. Just let me get this light fitting together first. Okay, so everything's back together here now. I've put the switch on and everything. I've done the testing I need to do here. I'm going to go inside and liven this up and then do a few more tests. And let's test that the lights actually come on. Okay, so this is the mains in the house. You can see the steel wire arm comes down the wall there. It's actually in trunking. Then it's clipped at the bottom, just curves in, glanded into the bottom of the board. The banjo's on there as well with a 10mm earth, same as outside. In the board, we've got a 50A MCB in way 1, that is powering the Outbuilding. This unit also is an NM-L, the same as the one outside, but a 14-way version. If we look down here, you can see the incoming supply, and you can see the TNS, where the earth is actually that bare conductor. It does need some attention, it's actually partially buried in the floor. But anyway, let's turn on the MCB, then we can go outside and do our tests on the board out there. Okay, so the supply is now live to this. I've just done my testing, including RCD tests of the RCBO, which are still over there. And we're now ready to see if these things work. There's 1. There's 2. And 3. Shut the door. It's actually not too bad. The camera keeps adjusting the exposure, so it's hard to tell, but it's fairly light in here. So I think 3 is probably about right. I was originally thinking of putting 2 in, which I think wouldn't have been enough. What I will say is these that are downwards more seem to be spreading the light out into the room a lot more than this one that's lighting up a lot of the roof space, whereas these aren't really losing as much light. So I'm going to adjust this one down. And the next thing, I'm going to have a look at fitting some 13A power in here for the double sockets. Okay, so a bit of time's passed, and you can see a few things have changed here. I've got the 32A single phase C-farm outlet. That's just fitted with a galv coupler and 2 brush bushes into the bottom here, with the 6mm going into this 32A RCBO. There's a single double socket, just the one in here at the moment. This is just here, probably temporarily, at least for the moment. And it's just off this 16A here, just as a radial. So that's where that is up to. I ended up using the get sockets, because I've got quite a few of these. Some of them have got holes drilled in them. But I've got 20mm grommets, closed and open ones, that I used in the back of those. I don't know why someone would drill them like that really anyway. I'm going to keep hold of these MK ones for now because they're brand new, and I will eventually fit them in here, but I don't know where at the moment. So for the time being, I'll just put that one in here so there's some form of power. Now I just need to try and find a 16 amp version of this to go at the side of it, because they will actually fit perfectly. One from there, one from this knockout here with another coupler, and have a 16 and a 32 amp C-form outlet there, which would be nice. But yeah, that's probably where I'm going to leave this for the moment, because it's in a usable state in here now. There's 13 amp sockets, a 32 amp, which I can break out using distribution boards, and there's lights in here. So all three of the lights are working. Here's the distros and stuff here if I did need to split out from a 32 down to 16s or whatever, I can do so. So yeah, still to do is 16 amp C-form. The outside socket, which is here, that needs going on, but there's a couple of other things that need doing before I can fit that, and the actual socket circuit for in here, wherever things are going to go, I don't yet know. There's also a supply to put in on a fused unit for an alarm system, which will just be a 3 amp fuse somewhere here, probably be taken off the lighting circuit. Then there's additional cabling to run for internet and such, which will be coming through the duct that's down there. That is future videos. Like the video if you liked it. Any questions, leave them down in the comments section below, and subscribe for the future parts on this build project. Thanks for watching.